2 more episodes to go of Series 2 of When the Boat Comes In. This one is, in the front line you get shot at, you meet one of the most evilest characters in the show really, Colfax. Basically he runs a non-union shop and it's Jack's job to get the union in there. And it's a very good episode and you kind of see what could have happened, but in the end it doesn't happen because of what happens in the episode. I mean, with Colfax, obviously he hates the union. He doesn't want to do any sort of deals because he's even prepared to bring people in from the outside and pay their train fares. So this is how much he's against the union. Jack's plan, I mean, it's a very good plan actually. It's to handle the scabs in their military way because he does take the guy from London to the pub and they're all ex-army, aren't they? So he's saying, we can handle the scabs and you don't want to know how. But it turns out I'm sure it's him that tips off Colfax about what's going to happen.
Come here to work, brother.
Mr. Ford!
Come on.
I told you it'd come. I told you.
Oh, it's war, is it?
Not with one battalion, it's not. This time, the whole bloody army goes over the top.
I'll tell you how it is, General.
Jack?
Thanks, Matt. If our lads go on strike, Colfax will bring in scabs. Well, we can handle the scabs, I told you. Only you didn't want to know.
Well, maybe I've changed my mind.
All right. Durham Light Infantry, Northumberland Fusiliers, Tyneside Scottish, Tyneside Irish. We can handle the scabs.
But what you're saying
I've said nought.
What you're implying, then, it's violence. I'll have no part in it.
And bugger off and leave the job to men.
Manners and Jack have a very sophisticated lunch in the country. You've got a beer keg there, you've got people clay pigeon shooting. Manners does this to influence them, and yeah, I can see why he does it, to be honest. It's giving something back, but it's in hope of their loyalty, isn't it, more than him being a nice guy. But he's a businessman, isn't he? And he talks to Jack, and he's trying to stitch Jack up at this stage. And luckily, Jack doesn't fall for it. He's saying about a bet between him and Colfax. If Jack doesn't do it, he gets £1,000. Luckily, later on, Jack doesn't fall for this because it was all a plan to set Jack up. And yeah, I mean, it's clever from Manners, but at the same time he should have realised that Jack wasn't a dummy, was he? He's very intelligent and he was never really going to fall for that, I don't think so. Although his eyes really do light up when he mentions the £1,000. He's like, as you would, you know, back then especially. I wonder how much £1,000 was back in those days. Wow, 10 grand, 20 grand. Must have been a hell of a lot of money back then.
Colfax wants to fight it.
Likely.
He wants to win. In fact, he's asked me to make a bet with you, Port. £1,000 if you don't force the union on him. £1,000 if you fail.
I see. Doesn't make sense.
Doesn't it?
No, it doesn't.
Colfax is an idealist.
Get away.
Oh, but he is. The last of the unregenerate capitalists. He believes in that. Believes in himself. Wants to go into politics, too. Colfax, the hammer of the unions. Not this time. This time you lose.
I haven't said I'll do it yet.
You will.
Why will I?
Soon you'll be in business for yourself. For that, you'll need capital.
Maybe. I'll think about it.
Don't think too long.
You shouldn't be thinking at all. Not when you're drinking champagne. Champers is awfully bad for cogitation.
Then you must help us drink it, Lady Caroline.
I should think so. You've been neglecting it dreadfully. I didn't even know you were here.
Of course, when Jack first meets Colfax, he's ignoring him completely. Jack asks the question eventually, but when he arrives, Colfax is doing his papers. So I like what Jack does. He does exactly the same to him, and then the conversation starts. And yeah, Jack asks the question, or says there's going to be a strike, basically, if you don't allow the union in, and he rings his bell and he's like, no. Good day, Ford. And then they have a longer conversation about what's going to happen, and you can sense that Colfax, he's not having unions, because he'll bring people in from the outside, he'll pay their train fares, so it shows how much he's against union labour.
Well,
I always say first thing in the morning is the time for paperwork.
you didn't come here to tell me that.
I didn't come here to tell you anything. I came to ask for something.
Then you've come to the wrong shop.
I've come here to ask you to allow unionised labour in this works.
No. Good day, Ford. I said good day.
I heard you. It'll get rough.
I don't give way to threats.
I'm not making any.
Then what are you doing?
Prophesying. If you don't let the union in, my union in, you'll have a strike.
My God, you're stupid. Strike. I'll lose 50 fitters. I'll hire 50 more and the strike will be over. Good day.
Not this time. You've scraped the barrel. There aren't 50 fitters left who haven't joined the union. I doubt if there's 10.
Then I'll take on those that are. I'm doing it now. But I won't have shop stewards and I won't pay union rates.
And you'll still have a strike.
No. I'll bring in men from outside. I can get all the fitters I want if I pay their train fares.
You'd really do that?
I've done it before, 20 years ago.
Before the war.
Business is war, Ford. All that matters is to win.
Good day, Colfax.
Jack gets another visit, or rather Jack visits Colfax again, and the policeman tells him about what will happen if he does what he's going to do, and then Jack realises he can't do this. It's a shame, because that probably could have worked if Colfax wasn't tipped off about it. I expect it would have worked, all of them being ex-army, and it was a great plan, but that guy from London, I'm sure it was him, completely messed it up. Obviously, he tipped off Colfax. I'm sure it was him, wasn't it? And yeah, it's a shame, really. But later on, in another episode, he does get his revenge on Colfax, doesn't he? And I really like that part of the story later on. And it's one of the only examples where Jack is beaten, really, early on in the series. Of course, later on in the series, when he does make his money and he comes back to Blighty, he hasn't got a penny, has he? Because he's lost it all in the Wall Street crash.
The reason I made you come here...
You didn't. I made myself come. I'm like that. Glutton for punishment.
You hear?
What I hear is irony. It's not an indictable offense.
Violence is... when this man is plotting violence.
Am I?
Yes. You are. If I bring workers in from outside, you're going to have them assaulted.
You've been looking in your crystal ball again, Colfax. If you have, it's been lying to you. You should have it arrested.
Tell him.
It's not on, you know,
What isn't?
what Mr. Colfax saw in his crystal ball. Well, there's no harm in Mr. Colfax seeing things, but if they were ever to become a reality,
Go on.
if workers from outside were attacked, if there was violence, intimidation, the possibility of riot, I'd turn out every man I've got and have the Riot Act read. I'd meet force with more force. There'd be broken bones and broken heads. They wouldn't be my men's. That's what I see in my crystal ball, Mr. Ford. It doesn't lie.
There'll be no riot. I'm obliged to you. You were never in the war, were you, Mr. Colfax? You spent it back here making dud shells. Well, I'll tell you something you don't know, seeing as how you weren't there. We lost Wipers, we lost the Somme, and we lost the Marne, thanks to you and the Germans. But we won the war.
what happens next? The guy from London, he comes by, doesn't he? Brother Boothroyd, was it? Yeah. And he's a pencil pusher, really, isn't he? He's not great. He goes to visit the lads, and of course, they're not interested in what he has to say, to be honest. He's very up himself, isn't he, to be honest? It's interesting, isn't it? Like, the people from Newcastle, they were all working class who were in the Union, but somebody from London wasn't. You know, obviously there was a lot of working class people in London as well. But that's interesting. But of course, he tips off Colfax. I'm sure he does. Does he actually say that 100%? I know he was tipped off, but I just presume it's Brother Boothroyd. But I'm not sure if you find out exactly who it was. But Colfax is tipped off, and then Jack's warned about what will happen in the crystal ball if these events unfold. The policeman warns Jack, and then that's it. That's the end of it. It's funny with Eddie Morton because he's buying him whiskies, isn't he? Because Jack says he's preparing for the war kind of thing. But by the end of it, he gets him a beer, and he's like, "You were getting me whiskies the other day," and he's like, "Well, that was when you were fighting for me." Yeah, so he gets him a job there, doesn't he? And he says, "You got to turn up there sober." So yeah, I thought this episode is brilliant. I really love this episode. It's a shame Jack didn't win that battle because he had it all planned, and if he wasn't tipped off Colfax, it would have worked, probably, more than likely, or it would have been a good fight, wouldn't it? And of course, at the end of the episode, you've got Manners, or near the end of the episode, you've got Manners handing over a cheque to Jack for £1,000, and of course, Jack sees through this. He knows that this is a plan from Manners to do Jack for bribery and corruption. And Jack knows this is all about getting the land for Mandrake Place that he wants so much. And yeah, because if he went to prison, he'd be able to sell it at a cut price, wouldn't he, the land? So he knows. Jack's very clever. And I like the way he takes the cheque. £1,000 all in my hand at one time. If only my mother could have seen it. And then he tears it up in front of Manners' face, and he tells him that he's figured it out, and he says exactly what I just said then. Yeah, I love that, because Manners must have thought, I got him, but he didn't get him, did he?
$1,000. All in me hand, all at one time. Only me mother could see us.
What the devil are you playing at?
I didn't earn it. But from Colfax. Colfax had his own pet laptop back at headquarters, you said so yourself. And a champion job he did for Colfax and all. I didn't out. It had nothing to do with Colfax. It was your idea. You wanted to put me away, Manners. Bribery and corruption. I could do a canny bit time for that.
Don't be ridiculous, man. Why should I?
Because I've got some land you want. It'll be no good to me and Jug. Likely I'd have to sell it cheap to pay for my defence. Admit it, Manners. That was your money you were giving us. Colfax didn't put up a penny. Why should he? You were just trying to have me put away. And it's no good sulking, Manners. I mean what I say.
Another theme of this episode is Bella. She's not very well. She thinks she's got colic, but it turns out she has a much bigger problem. In the end, she has an operation, and there's a really nice scene at the end where Jack visits Bella in the hospital. He gets her an orchid, which must have been, I mean, they must be hard to get now, to be fair, but back then it must have been even harder. And she's like, where did he get an orchid from? And she mentions about, oh, this is like what queens would get. And he was like, it's a queen I bought it for. Just, it's a lovely end to the episode, isn't it? And she deserves that. And they had an interesting relationship, didn't they, Jack and Bella? There was that interesting scene where they share a kiss. Do you remember that episode where she's drunk and he takes her home, puts her to bed? But this scene is really nice, and she deserved that.
How is she?
She'll be all right. It was appendicitis, like Billy said, but they operated in time.
Thank God.
You're looking very smart.
Aye, you're going away soon.
Going away? From Galashield?
No, just from the Union.
You mean to say those ungrateful beggars have got rid of you?
All the way around, Bonnie lass.
And what's that supposed to mean?
She's waking up.
All right. I want a word all the same. Hello, ma'am. Jessie. Here's Jack Ford come to see you.
What fettle, Bonnie lass?
Connie, I could do with a drop of gin, no. Aye, Jack, I was scared. Scared they were going to stick things in us.
I've been scared of that and all.
And they went and cursed just the same. How are you, Bonnie lad?
Canny,
Still getting on?
still getting on. I'll just give her this and I'll go.
Not before we've had that word.
Aye, all right. She bullies the lot of us.
Oh, that she doesn't. Just them that needs it.
Here. For you, Bonnie lass. Hurry up and get well.
Oh, Jack. It's beautiful. Look, Jessie, it's fit for a queen.
It was a queen I bought it for.
Dance to the daddy, sing to the mommy, dance to the daddy, to the mommy sing. Thou shalt have the fishy on a little dishy, thou shalt have the fishy when the boat comes in. Thou shalt have a fishy on a little dishy, thou shalt have a haddock when the boat comes in. Thou shalt have a fishy on a little dishy, thou shalt have a bloater when the boat comes in. Thou shalt have a fishy on a little dishy, thou shalt have a mackerel when the boat comes in. Thou shalt have a fishy on a little dishy, thou shalt have a salmon when the boat comes in.